Hello, kids. Mrs. Lorenz again. This is one of my very favorite books ever. Hooway for Wodney Wat. The author of this book is Helen Lester, and it was illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. Hooway for Wodney Wat. The dedication says, "To my son and hero, Jamie." Poor Wodney Wat. His real name was Wodney Rat, but he couldn't pronounce his R's. To make matters worse, he was a rodent, a wodent. "What's your name, Wodney?" asked the other rodents. "Wodney Wat," whispered Wodney. "What's another name for bunny?" they asked knowingly. "Wabbit," he mumbled. "And how does a train travel?" They winked at each other. "A twain twavels on twain twacks," Wodney replied miserably. All of this teasing day in and day out made Wodney the shyest rodent in his elementary school. His squeak could barely be heard in class. He gnawed lunch alone. It's hard for me to see what I'm showing you here, guys. Sorry. And while the other rodents scurried and scooted about at recess, Wodney hid inside his jacket. Then one day, as the rodents were taking turns doing wheelies, a new rodent, a very large rodent, barged into the classroom and announced, "My name is Camilla Capybara." And you can see on the door they're in the class of Mrs. Fuzzleworth. "I'm bigger than any of you, I'm meaner than any of you, and I'm smarter than any of you." Then she added, "So there." With that, she accidentally, on purpose, elbowed an ear, bumped two noses, stepped on three tails, and laid down on a desk. Here's the first one. There's the second one. Here she's laying on the desk. Fur prickled in fear throughout the classroom. She sure was bigger than any of them. She sure looked meaner than any of them. Was she smarter than any of them? "What's 2 plus 2? asked Mrs. Fuzzleworth. "4!" shouted Camilla Capybara, without even bothering to raise her paw. "And furthermore, 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16, and 243 plus 125 is 368. Later, when Mrs. Fuzzleworth asked, "What's the capital of?" Camilla interrupted. "New York, Albany. Population, 295,594. And during science, in answer to the question, "What part of a plant is below the ground?" Camilla Capybara danced on her desk and sang, "Root, root, rooty toot toot." Yep, thought all of the other rodents. She's smarter than we are, too. They felt very uncomfortable. Every afternoon, just before the final recess, Mrs. Fuzzleworth drew a name from her hat to see who would be the leader for their favorite game. Simon Says. She scrunched her eyes closed and jiggled the hat. Would it be Hairy Hamster? Minnie Feet Mouse? Grizzlefizz Guinea Pig? Could it be Mean, Big, Smart Camilla Capybara? Mrs. Fuzzleworth's paw reached in and pulled out the name of Wodney Wat. The bell rang. There was a wild scurry for the door, and Camilla Capybara was the first on the playground, having trampled the others in her path. To Wodney, she looked especially scary. What would she do when she heard him speak? Breathe capybara breath in his face? Or tie him up with his own tail? Or even pounce on him? The tiny, trembling leader of the game stood before the eager players, his head well inside his jacket, and squeaked, "Wodney says read the sign." While the other rodents read PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents, Camilla began pulling up weeds around the sign and wildly flinging them hither and yon till she was clear up to her teeth in dirt. The other rodents began to smile. Wodney says whap your paws or wound your head. He peeked a little peek outside of his jacket and saw whap, whap, whappity, slappity, whap. Camilla was whapping her paws around her head so hard she became dizzy, gave herself a headache, and had to sit down. The other rodents couldn't help giggling. Wodney says, play wing around a wosy. Camilla put out her arms like wings and made an airplane noise. Nnrrr. But where was the wosy? What was the wosy? So the other kids knew how to play ring around the rosy, didn't they? But Camilla Capybara, what's a wosy? But now Wodney's voice was stronger, and his head wasn't entirely out of his jacket. Wake the leaves! Nobody moved. Wodney says, wake the leaves. While Harry, Minniefeet, and Grizzlefizz and the others busied themselves raking, Camilla Capybara grabbed one leaf. Wake up! She yelled. So the other kids, they're all raking the leaves. But Camilla, she had to wake the leaf. She snatched another and said, come on, up, up, up. And another, rise and shine. And another, boo. By now, all the other rodents were squealing with laughter. All but Camilla, who frowned. Silly leaves. They won't wake up. And why was everyone laughing at her? Such bullies. Here she's trying to wake up those weaves. And there's those other kids. In a voice so strong, he had to hold on to his ears, Wodney called, "Wodney says go west." The rodents collapsed in a happy heap for a rest. Go west. Camilla Capyberry, feeling very smart that she could tell directions by the sun, said, "All right, I'll go west." And then she added, "So there." West she stomped. Forever she was gone. So they're all taking a rest. And Camilla Capybara went west. And from that day on, the pupils of PS 142 Elementary School for rodents never teased Wodney. He was their hero. "Hooway for Wodney Wat!" they cheered. "Woot toot, wooty toot toot." Hope you like the book. I sure like it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.